Hello, 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 hello. Today I am live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube because I want you all to be introduced to none other than Miss Kristian McCray Stewart. Hello, Queen. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Thanks for asking. And thank you for being here with us on today. I'm going to give the audience a little bit about your story and your bio, and then you could tell us your story. Okay? So y'all, this is a phenomenal woman. I want to go off script, but I'm going to read a little bit of her bio. And here's the thing, she is dually licensed in Mississippi and in Texas, in Mississippi and in Texas. She's also a veteran. Y'all, she is an incredible woman who started her academic journey, culminated a bachelor's degree and graduating magna cum laude in political science from Mississippi College, and she got a Juris Doctor cum laude from University of Mississippi School of Law, and that laid the foundation for her illustrious career. Her commitment to justice led her to serve as a public defender in Oxford, Mississippi, oh Miss, where she passionately advocated for her clients, ensuring they receive the fairness that they deserve. Her tenure as a former staff judge advocate for the United States Air Force further enriched her legal acumen and dedication to service. Beyond her professional achievements, Kristian is a devoted wife and mother, finding solace and joy in her family life. When not in the courtroom, she enjoys immersing herself in literature, staying active through basketball and workouts, and actively engaging with her community. In 2018, Kristian established the law offices of Kristian A. McCray, PLLC, later rebranded as McCray, Stewart and Associates in 2024, reflecting her vision for growth and change in the legal landscape. With nearly 12 years of experience, Kristian is a seasoned advocate for clients facing a spectrum of legal challenges, specializing in criminal defense, personal injury, estate planning, family law, and more. Driven by a profound sense of purpose, Kristian views her legal career as a calling to navigate individuals through the complexities of the legal system. Her ethos revolves around the belief that she is blessed to be a blessing to others, striving to affect positive change and enrich the lives of those she encounters. As a self published author and multifaceted professional, Kristian epitomizes unwavering compassion, yes, dedication, and a fervent commitment to fulfilling her divine purpose. I am so excited and delighted to have her with us on today as we speak about $1 million estate planning. Let's welcome her. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up in the comment section. If you're watching the replay, by the way, put hashtag replay so that we know that you saw this video. Say hello, say hello, say hello. Kristian, how are you feeling today?
I am feeling wonderful. And first, I just have to say thank you for this opportunity to even come here and to talk with you. You know, I have told you many, many times, you are doing amazing things. So just to even know you and to collab with you is truly a blessing in itself. So thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. You are welcome. Thank you for saying yes to being a speaker at the Attract Abundance Conference and for your law firm being one of our sponsors. So thank you for that. On today, I want to start off our conversation before we dive into the estate planning. I want to ask you, what encouraged you or inspired you to pursue a career in law?
So this is truly God's design. God's design. When it came down, I'm like 4 or 5, and they're like, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I have no point of reference. There's no one in my family. I'm like, oh, well, this person was an attorney. Or I'm watching TV and I'm like, oh, look at this. It was just, what do you want to be? And it's like, oh, I'm going to be an attorney when I grow up. And lo and behold, even though I ventured on some different paths, I'm right where I belong. So all praises to God.
Yeah, so you knew since you were a little girl, you wanted to be an attorney.
Yes.
What? That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So tell us, because of course we have a lot of business women watching. Of course, we got some businessmen, and you are part of our business women building wealth community. And so, as a woman who have gone from working under so many greats in the legal system and starting your own law firm, like what inspired you or encouraged you to make that move?
Well, it was one just wanting to have the freedom. The freedom, and you think about like growing families and the things that you want to do, but then also the vision. I mean, my desire is truly to help people and to serve people. And it's beyond just the legal sphere of things. Like I care for the individuals. And
Yeah.
so not to say that those that I worked under didn't care for people, but my passion, the vision I had, it was bigger than where I was. And so for me to take what's inside and to make it come reality, I had to do it on my own. It wasn't going to transpire or become about if I was continuing to do the work for someone else.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Like sometimes you're like, in order for me to have like the biggest impact, like I need to be free to move how I want to move. So that's an inspiration within itself. I know that there are some women who are looking to go full time in their business, full time in their private practice. And so it's important that they get to know you and know what do you do. So let's talk about estate planning. I feel like as a insurance broker and a retirement planning specialist, I meet quite a few people who procrastinate when it comes to estate planning. So tell us, why should we not procrastinate when estate planning and when we're building a multi-million dollar legacy? Why is it important for us to go ahead and put this on our to-do list now in 2024?
So the very first thing, sometimes I think we as individuals fail to consider this because when you're talking about estate planning, you're talking about the future. You're talking about what's going to take place when you are no longer here. And people think, well, if I go and I start planning it, well, then it insinuates like I'm ready to expire soon. And no, that's not the case. But when you're trying to build something, one thing that we used to always say when I used to provide these talks to the new airmen who would come in, I would tell them, regardless of what you have, you want things to be in place. You want to be able to, whatever you desire, whatever you're building, you want to control how those things are distributed. You want to ensure who is going to get what. And you also want to alleviate the stress that will cause your family members and your loved ones when that time comes to determine how things are going to take place. And more importantly, we have the power to generate wealth. So if you are generating this wealth, not only for yourself, but the future generations, why would you not want something in place that is going to ensure that they maintain it? The thing is, if you don't make these plans, if you don't have things in place, guess what's going to happen when that time does come? The state laws are going to dictate how your property, what you have worked so hard for to build and establish, how those things are going to be distributed. Why would we do that to ourselves? If I'm working hard for it, I want to be in control of what's going to happen to it when my time comes.
Yes. I heard this guy say everybody has an estate plan. Like you may not like your estate plan, but the government has one for you if you don't put one in place. So thank you for sharing that. For some reason, people do think like if I start speaking or if I start planning for my estate, it means something's going to happen. No, it actually means like you are being a responsible citizen and you are making sure that you are protecting your family. So when you protect and you serve your family, sometimes it comes in the form of estate planning. Sometimes it comes in the form of making sure you have life insurance, making sure your entire household has life insurance. But I'm not going to go too deep in that because this conversation is about you and what you do. But it's important that people understand that this is a part of the wealth building strategy. This is a part of it. So, I feel like on social media, there are a lot of people speaking about trust. And people come to me and they're like, oh, Terry, I want to get a plan and then I want to get a trust. I'm like, you need to set up your trust with an estate planning attorney. Now, I'll help you get the infinite banking plan. I do the IULs all day, every day. If you need an IUL, you reach out to me. I got you. But in terms of the actual trust, you need to speak to an estate planning attorney. So tell us, why should people consult with an attorney when they are establishing a trust?
Well, for one, they want to make sure that they are set up appropriately. And then not only so, just having the trust in and of itself does not do you any good. You have to actually deposit things into the trust. I've encountered so many cases that someone comes and it's time for probate and they're like, well, my spouse had a trust or my father had a trust, and come to find out that nothing is in the trust. So yes, you've created it and you have it there, but you haven't made the necessary deposits for those beneficiaries to obtain the benefit of it. And so for one, you want to make sure it's set up right, but then you're also wanting to make sure that everything that you're desiring to be in there, whether it's life insurance policies, not that you have to put them in there, but all the things that you want to distribute to those loved ones or whoever it may be, you want to make sure those things are properly in there. And then it just alleviates a lot of the rigmarole, if you will, that comes with probate and things of that nature. But tax benefits. There's so many different benefits that comes with trust, especially because we're talking about like life insurance policies and wealth and all those different things. You have a way to set it up, because say something does happen and your children are minors. You don't want them having millions of dollars just to kind of squander and do whatever they will do to it if they don't have the wisdom or the maturity at that age. Well, you have different parameters and things that you can put in place to ensure how those funds are going to be distributed, when they're going to be distributed. But the most key thing is they want to have counsel who's able to advise them and direct them. So that way, create the trust, but then make sure you're actually depositing the trust. What is it for? You don't want to say just, oh, I have a trust. That's all great and dandy. But if you're not taking the necessary steps to put those things inside of the trust, then it's really of no benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do love when people do get their policies with me and I ask them, who would you like to be the beneficiary? And they say the family foundation, or they say the name of their family's trust. And I'm like, yeah. You already did the work. And so, yes, like Kristian said, it is important for you to not just establish the trust, but you got to put some stuff into the trust. I heard you mention probate a couple of times, and I understand probate, and I understand how probate is one of those things that people do not plan for. And some people don't even know what probate is until a situation arises. So go ahead and share with us, what is probate and why should we look out for it when it comes to generational wealth building? Like, generational wealth building is not just about making sure that the children are taken care of, but we got to make sure that we're building generational wealth with our elders in our family. So talk to us about probate. Like, what is probate and why should we look out for probate sneaking up on us if we are not prepared?
Yes. So probate that comes at the point of time when you have someone who is deceased. And then it's like, okay, what is the process that is going to take place for the distribution of their assets? Well, in most situations, unless they really don't have any assets, but see, we're talking about millionaires and billionaires here. So we're going to have these assets. And so what happens is when you get to probate, there's an estate that is open under the deceased individual's name. And it lists out, well, this is the person that is appointed as the executor. You have a right to select the person who you think is going to be the responsible one, the one that you trust to ensure that your last wishes are going to be fulfilled, right? And so they initiate this process with the court. And what happens is they're taking your will and they're saying, okay, well, this is what they determined that they wanted to happen. And this is, the process and the procedures that we're going to go through. Are there debts that need to be obtained? Are there different outstanding debts that the estate itself needs to take care of? All those things are going to be addressed. So that way it's not falling back on your spouse, falling on your children, or whoever you have listed to obtain what you have built and acquired. And they go through that whole process. And then once it's all said and done, you're saying, okay, I want all of these funds to go to this particular individual. I want my home to go to this individual. Well, they're going to ensure that your last wishes, your last desires are going to be fulfilled. It's a process for which people can't just come in and like take your property. But remember what I was saying earlier, If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And what's going to happen is the state is saying, oh, well, you didn't leave a will. Well, we're going to determine that your assets are going to be distributed to these individuals in this way.
Okay, so you said something about losing property, and I know that I've heard of situations where people have had to go to probate court to try not to lose grandma and granddad's house. Have you ever had a situation like that, or have had to help someone navigate through that?
So when you have, and so sometimes what happens, sadly, is that, so say a person passes away, and you can have someone, oh, grandma passed away, but we have access to the house, so we've been staying in the house, but taxes haven't been paid. So even if the house is paid off, you're not paying the taxes. So then you encounter a situation where then there's a lien on the home. But because that title hasn't been passed to, whether it's the grandchildren or the actual children, you're putting yourself in a situation that you can't even fight for or have a voice in the matter, if you will, because you haven't went through the necessary procedures so that you can be considered the owner, if you will. And it's you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is that when people don't know, unfortunately, there are situations that come about where they're in jeopardy of losing that property. Grandma could have decided that, look, she wants this house to pass down from generation to generation. But because when the time came and she passed away, nobody looked into what the necessary steps were that they needed to actually secure that property, to actually see what was going on with the property. And then you're facing liens or you're facing foreclosures, and you're limited in your capacity because you have no authority to act on it. It's not your property. But if you go through probate, what's going to happen is the property will be signed over to the heirs. And then that deed is going to be filed with the county that the property resides in. And so anything that's related to that property, you're going to be obtaining notice for it.
Right. Oh my goodness. And this is another reason why I share with people that when it's time for you to get life insurance, it's not always about just getting enough to bury an individual. Like, we got to get past that. Like, what millionaires thinking like that? I can tell you what the millionaires and billionaires are doing. They are focusing on making sure that they're planning for their estate, not just having enough money to bury somebody. And so if you know for a fact that you have assets, and all of your assets together total to be over $1 million, and you have not planned for how that is going to be distributed, you need to start planning now. And what life insurance does is it transfers the risk. And if you do have more than enough to bury somebody, then that money can be used to pay those tax bills so that the houses do not go into foreclosure or the family do not lose those assets or even land. So that's why we're here. So if you're watching and this is good, put a "this is good" in the comment section. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them here while we are live. So I feel like we're using terminology that we understand, and some people may not understand it because they've never looked into it, or they say, we'll focus on that later. Some of the women and men who are coming to the Attract Abundance Conference, they do have $1 million in assets. But again, they have been procrastinating, or they may not have just made it a priority. So tell us, in terms of estate planning for our children, what are some things that we should do this year before 2024 ends?
Yes. So for one, if you do not have the life insurance policy that you need in place, get that in place. And of course, we all know that Terry is the go-to for that. She $1 million baby, $1 billion baby, whatever you need. But to the point that you made, because I do want to highlight this, and you want to have a policy that covers everything. Let's not be deceived and just like, oh, once I pass, any debts that I had, all these different things, they just go away. No, they do not. Those things will come against your estate. So if you're desiring to leave something for your children, you want to make sure outstanding debts and those things are taken care of. You want to be, for those of us, we know, as you're going up in the tax bracket, the time when you got to go give Uncle Sam that money, that there's also a final tax return that is done on your estate. So these are things that you want to be considering when we're talking about these insurance policies, that you can go ahead and pay off your house and potentially give it to your children, debt free. You want to make sure all of your debts are taken care of, so that way what they're receiving is more. But ensuring, what do you desire for your children? When all is said and done, what do you want life to look like for them? And when you are making those considerations, well, this is going to be determining not only the life insurance policies that you have for yourself, but also the policies that you're having for your children. And you put them in trust because there are various different tax benefits and ways that you get around potentially taxes that you're paying to Uncle Sam in these situations. So you're being mindful of, what do you want the future to look like for your children? And it looks different for all of us. Some of us, it may be, look, you want your children to go to college without having to do student loans, without being in debt. It may be that you've already, depending on the age of your children, you determined that college is not the route that they're going to take. They're going to be entrepreneurs, or they're going to take over the family business. What does that look like? And then for them to succeed and excel in this area, what do I need to do now? What is a cushion, if you will, that's going to set them up for success, and that they're not having to squander. They're not having to go out there and do student loans. Because the thing is, what, as we grow and we obtain knowledge, we pass those down to our children. We try to make sure that they obtain or encounter and live a better life than what we live, right?
Yes. As you were speaking, I was just like, man, y'all, this is going to be a good conversation, especially if you know that you are building $1 million legacy, or you're building $1 billion legacy. So here's the thing. At the Attract Abundance Conference, on day one, we're focusing on how to attract the abundance, right? We're doing the internal work. We're doing the trainings on marketing and sales and how to make more money in your business. But on day two is when we're focusing on what to do with the abundance that you attract. So as Kristian just mentioned, when you start making more money, you go into a higher tax bracket. Like, there's some benefits to making more money. But there's this song from the 90s that say more money, more problems. Well, here's the thing. One thing that you will have is a tax problem if you make a lot of money and you do not plan for how you plan to pay those taxes. Ask me how I know. Okay. And so that's why on day two, we are having Dr. Cazette M. White, who's going to come, and she is going to share with you. Yes, she's going to share with you strategies. Y'all, they call her the Beyonce of taxes. So if you are a tax professional, you want to be in the room. If you know that you want to go into 2025 with better tax planning, you want to be in the room at the Attract Abundance Conference. And then when we have Kristian come in and speak, she's going to be able to show you how, with appropriate tax planning and appropriate estate planning, you can make sure that you're not just making millions, you're not just having $1 million legacy, but you're also able to leave $1 million legacy. Because what she just said, if you're tuning in late or if you did not catch it, those debts don't go away. Right? Your debts just don't disappear. And so if you do have a multi-million-dollar legacy and you want to leave millions of dollars or even $500,000 to your children, but you have all these things coming up against your estate because you didn't plan properly, your family is not going to get what you've worked so hard for. That business that you worked so hard for, that legacy that you worked so hard for, is going to be gone. It's going to be gone. Because you did not plan. You did not plan. I'm sorry, Kristian. I just gotta say how I gotta say it. You know some of the stuff I'm going through on this week. Y'all, we gotta do better. We gotta do better. I know I'm having some millionaires, some six-figure earners, some five-figure earners that are gonna be in the building. But I'm talking to the person that's watching this live because I came up on your timeline and you're like, oh, there go Terry. Let me see what she has to say. I have to say, y'all, we gotta do better. We got to get our affairs in order. We cannot procrastinate. Time is not on our side. It is not on our side. So we are here. We are live. We are going to be at the Attract Abundance Conference, giving you tips, tools, and strategies that's worth thousands of dollars. Kristian is worth thousands of dollars. Estate planning isn't cheap. Establishing the trust the right way is not cheap. It costs so much more for a consultation than a $300 ticket to a conference. It costs so much more than that. You know why? Because we're talking about your livelihood, your family's livelihood, your business's livelihood.
Exactly.
These are things that you cannot go back and fix after you don't do it. Like once that time is past, that time is past. I don't want the government telling me what to do with my estate or telling my family what they got to do with my estate. I want that to be done. I want that to be done. I want to make the decision. You want to stay in charge. You work so hard to build this business. You built your business from 0 to 5 figures to 6 figures to 7 figures to 8 figures. And then now the courts have to tell your family what's going to happen with your money and your assets and your business because you no. We got to do better. Go ahead and say what's on your mind, Queen.
Yes. And if I can make this point, oh my, and so say that you encounter a situation, and believe me, it's happened, that they can't identify your heirs, right? They don't know what's happening. Then what do you think is happening to your assets? It goes and it sits there for some time. And sometimes you have, like, we're talking about property. So if you think it's nobody is coming to claim your property and nothing has happened to it, what do you think is going to eventually happen to it? It's going to go to the government. They're not, it's not just going to sit there. Like what Terry is saying, like, this planning is vital. It's vital. Well, like she's saying, you putting in all this work, blood, sweat, and tears. Why do you not want to control what is happening? Why do you not want to have a say? Yeah, I might be long, well and gone, but I want to ensure, like, okay, what I left for my son, look, this is his, and that he gets the bulk of it. I don't want everything that I've worked hard for. Then it's like, oh, well, we have to sell this, we have to sell that, because all these debts from the personal, all these debts from the business, all these different things, there's not enough to cover it. And so now your property is having to be sold, because trust and believe that does happen. When they're looking at that estate, if there is not enough liquid assets to cover those creditors, those secured creditors who are lodging claims against your estate, guess what happens? Your property is going to be sold. Your home is going to be sold. Your cars is going to be sold to fulfill those claims. We have to do better. And the great opportunity is that, look, Terry has brought this Attract Abundance conference together, and it's so many people who are coming with amazing knowledge and insight. Why would you not want it?
Why would you not want it? I mean, I'm putting us in a room, y'all, for 2 days of your general admission and 2 days and a night if you are VIP. Y'all, I'm going to be honest. This ain't what I had planned going into the year. Now, I knew I was going to do a conference. I was like, we're going to do business with Building Wealth. But y'all, ever since I said yes to God to do this conference a certain way, there has been hurdle over hurdle over hurdle, attack over attack over attack. And even the enemy is attacking my family on this week. And I said, oh my God, okay, God, here's the thing. I told you that this was your conference. And these people that are coming to this conference, they're going to get exactly what they need. You tell me what to say. You show me who needs to be in the room. I'm so glad that I had a conversation with Kristian back in, was it April or May? It was around April or May, somewhere around there. I did not know her before that time. I did not know her before that time. Shout out to DFW Boss Space Networking Group. Because that's where we met. I did not know before that time. But when she connected the dots, that she was from the same area, I was from the same area, we got the same passions. Like, now, I think she's a lot taller than me. But, because I'm only 4'11". I said, oh, we got so much in common. I'm 4'11" on the outside. On the inside, though, we the same height. So when y'all see us at the Attract Abundance conference, I'm telling you, we gonna look like this. We gonna look like this. But we are here. Dr. Kazette is flying in from California.
Yes.
Christina is flying in from the south of Texas. She has $1 million agency. And even with her story, you're going to learn the things that you have to do in order to build a multi-million-dollar legacy. This is not one of those conferences where you just going to come and sit and get. This is not just one of those spaces where you just going to take cute pictures, because we do want you to look cute. You're going to have plenty of photo ops. I mean, I'm telling you, like, the place is going to be laid, okay? The place is going to be laid. The energy is going to be high. If you've been to any of my events before, you know that I do not shortcut. I'm going to make sure that you feel like a queen when you walk in the room. Even the kings, my DJ, shout out to the DJ. He gonna feel like a king. He already feel like a king because he's so excited about this event. Y'all get your tickets. Get your tickets to the Attract Abundance Conference, but also make sure that you're getting your affairs in order. That's why Kristian Stewart will be there. She's going to be teaching. She's going to be sharing. She's going to be pouring in. And for those of you who buy your tickets before September 30th, you're going to be on our exclusive Q&A call. You can come with your questions. And guess what? When you come with your questions, you can get those answered on the spot. It comes as a benefit to buying your ticket before October. Okay? So it is a bonus call. Or you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on your consultation. Or you can get this benefit. That's why she's a sponsor. That's why her company is a sponsor, because they're giving so much more than just the opportunity for you to meet them at the conference. She's giving you an opportunity for you to ask her anything on September the 30th. Now, I'm going to ask you something, Kristian, and then I'm going to ask that you leave us with some words of wisdom. My question is, for the people who are like, okay, I don't know where to start. I know my dad got some land. I know my grandma got some land. I know that there are some assets somewhere. I know I got 401ks out there, and I don't know where they at. I heard my auntie, she asked me, my auntie don't have any children. We may be getting ready to put her in a nursing home. She need help. Like, the question for you, Kristian, is, as people are listening to this live, as they're watching this replay, what questions should we be asking our family members, our parents, our siblings, our aunties, our uncles, our spouses? What questions should we be asking right now as we prepare to end 2024 with our estate planning stuff done? That should be on somebody's vision board goal. So as you are getting ready to have your estate planning things in place, what are the questions that people should be asking?
Yeah, and this is how you start the conversation. What do you want life to look like for your children, for your grandchildren, for your family when your time comes? Because we all know that our time is coming, right? So what do you want it to look like? And as we begin to flesh out those discussions, okay, well, you need to have it somewhere. It's written out, everything that you have. If you have 401ks, if you have, your bank accounts, if you have different property and land in different places, begin to write these things out. I mean, most of us, we probably have journals where we write like our visions and what we mentioned. Terry just mentioned a vision board. Well, this is kind of like your vision board. Everything that you have and where do you want these things to go? We have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You may not want to have the conversation, but okay, have the conversation with my mom. Mom, okay, I need to know what you have. There's some things that I probably am privy to, but there's some things that I may not be. So I need to know what you have out there. I need to know if you got an account over here that you didn't tell anybody about. I need to know if you inherited some property. I need to know. And some people, look, you may have some people that you want to disinherit it. You don't want them having any access to your stuff.
What is that a word? Disinherit, girl? Come on now. Come on, queen.
I have seen it. I've had a client and he's like, look, I do not want this person getting X, Y, and Z. But that's your right. That's the control that you have. That's the power that you have. So don't give that power to someone else. And so if we're talking about just us as individuals.
I got a question. I'm sorry. I don't want to forget this question, because I probably will, because I got a million things going through my head on today. But when you said disinherit, I was like, you know what? There are some people who come to me and ask me questions because they've gone through a divorce. They're getting ready to go through a divorce. I heard family law in your bio, and you said the word disinherit, and I was like, yeah, that's making me think of the words like revocable, irrevocable. Like, when can somebody like rightfully not have access to their spouses or their former spouse's assets? Like, if they have children, if they don't have children, like, talk about that disinheriting and revocable versus irrevocable trust. Because I know a little bit, but I'm not the licensed attorney. You are.
Yes. So when it comes down to revocable or irrevocable trust, so most people, what happens, they do revocable trust because you can do a trust and set yourself up as a beneficiary, right? Which means that you can have access to these things during the duration of your life. And so you can decide, well, no, I want to revoke this. I want to take it back, right? You know how it'd be like, oh, there's no reneging. When you used to grow up, you can't renege, you can't renege. Well, with your trust, you can have them that way. Now, if you set something up as irrevocable, well, at that point in time, what's set in stone is set in stone and it's done. But of course, everybody's situation is different. It may be a situation where it's beneficial for you to have an irrevocable trust. That means nothing can happen to it. How it is, that's how it's going to be. But there are situations that you may want to revoke it because, say, if there's something that you put in the trust, but then you want to be able to take it out. And those are some considerations why you want to be having the conversations that we're talking about having now. What are your assets? What do you have? What do you plan on having? See, and this is also like a future, you're forecasting. What are you desiring your life to look like? Because this is not something that you just do now and you set it away and it's done for. No, this is going to be something that's going to grow. It's going to transform. It's going to be adaptable to the life that you are continuing to create. And so, as we're saying, like we're preparing this, not like, oh, okay, my demise is coming. No, I'm building something amazing. I'm building something that I can't yet even begin to imagine. And as I do it, I want to be able to make sure that I'm continuing to have my power and my control. And it just begins, it's not as hard as we may make it seem. Just begin to go and identify the things that you have, what you are building. And then if it happened, a week, a year, 50 years from now, when that time does come, what do you want it to look like? For your business, who do you want to be in control of your business? I mean, let's just be honest. Even when we think about our siblings, our parents is going to say, well, this person is more responsible than that person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to be able to say, the personality and the characteristics of those who are going to be your beneficiaries, or those who are going to be your heirs, those who are going to reap the benefit of the work that you have put in. You want to ensure that you're placing it in the hands of those who are going to live out your continued vision, right? And let's be honest, because when the time comes, no, you can't come back and be like, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. So now is the opportunity for you to make the decisions to put them in the hands of those who are best equipped to fulfill that.
It's just some stuff that I just was thinking about, all these scenarios. So like, people who are divorced, like, what type of questions should they ask each other, or what type of conversation should they have for each other? Because it would be, it would be real jacked up for one person to have a lot of assets somewhere, not do their estate planning, and then the children never get like this inheritance that's out there that could have rightfully been theirs.
Yes. And so let me give a quick example why it is so important to be taking care of these matters. So say for instance that you have a couple who never divorced, right? They're separated, just been living their own lives, building their own thing, and one of those spouses divorced. Well, guess what? Whether or not the children may like it, whether or not anybody is in agreement with it, that spouse, even though they're separated, they're going to have access to that estate. And depending on what state you are in, because of course I practice in Texas and Mississippi. Oh, and I will say recently licensed in Georgia. But all that to say that if you do not have a will in place, if you are not disinheriting people, and I won't go down another road on that, but what will happen is you will potentially have that spouse getting everything that the husband had, or what the wife had, and then the children get nothing. And so, but typically what you encounter is that when people go through divorces, when they do have property, those assets have been distributed. It's been determined who's going to get what. And so, but at that point in time, they do want to have it set out. Well, okay, I want this to go to my children. And make sure that there's you never want any ambiguity. You never want there to be a second guessing of like, oh, well, this should happen or that should happen. So typically in divorces, everything has been resolved. And so say, for instance, they had a home, their homestead. Well, if the wife is going to get it, these have been executed for everything to be transferred over to her. So then say that she does passes, and all that should go to her children, unless, of course, she's married again and other things come into play. But there are situations, I've seen it. You have people up in arms because things have not been outlined. They have not been set out, and people think they were entitled to something, to come to find out that they're not going to get anything because the right measures weren't taken, and it was left to the state to dictate how things were going to be distributed.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
Yeah. So if the paper's not signed, lady, see, this is why y'all got to be at the Check Up on this conference. Because what I really want to be like, I really want to say some things when I'm live, like publicly live. I'm not live in the private business women building wealth group or at the conference, but y'all at the conference, I ain't holding back. Okay. So while you dating somebody who may not have finished the paperwork and you there being stepmom, if something happened to that person, then what you just said is all the assets gonna still go to number one. And number two, sorry for you.
Yeah, I've seen an exact situation like that. Oh, I've been here. I've been caring for them. I've been helping them out. I've been here for X amount of years. Sorry. It may seem harsh. Sorry.
Yeah, it's Texas. Texas is not a common law marriage state, is it?
Yes, you can do, but I mean, with that though, you're looking at like 7 or 10 years before you can even, and then it's not simply the fact that, oh, I've been with this person for this long. There are other things that come into play that have to be assessed for people to be like, oh yes, this was a common law marriage. But don't lean on that. Don't depend on that.
Look, I ain't asking for me. I'm not gonna be in no not judging anybody, but I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for the viewers. I'm asking for the people that's gonna watch the replay. I'm asking for the people that watch my stuff and don't like anything, but they can't wait to see what's gonna come out of my mouth. I'm asking for the person. You know what I'm saying? You always
for the public.
Listen, I'm asking for the public. I'm not asking for me. I'm not looking for no common law marriage. Like,
I already know.
If he like it, he gonna have to put a ring on it, ma'am. But I'm just asking because I want the people that are watching to hear the things that they need to hear. And this is also why, even though this is called $1 million estate planning, like I know millionaires who are going through divorce. Yes. It is what it is. Like, we can talk about making extra money. We can talk about leveling up in our business. We can talk about being a boss babe and all that other stuff. But the truth of the matter is, that's not the whole picture. That's not the full story. Like, if you really are going to be a businesswoman and a woman about your business, you got to plan for the unexpected. Sometimes that's about getting life insurance. Sometimes that's about estate planning. Sometimes that's about you asking those hard questions to your ex or with your now person who may become your ex, right? Sometimes it's about you asking the questions to the family members who may have said that money was a taboo topic or they came from the hush hush generation. Like, this ain't the time to be hushing. And mama, grandmama, auntie, uncle, what's happening?
Yes. And the questions you are asking are so valid. There are people that I know that they're estranged, they're separated, they haven't been with their spouse for whatever, and they are never going to get back together. However, they have begun to start something here. But the sad part about it is that even in starting that, and they begin to build and to establish things, if you haven't taken care of the other hand, guess what? This person who you don't want to be with, who you could care less for, if you will, if you don't take care of business, if you don't plan, if you don't do what you need to do, guess what? This person who you are no longer with is going to have access to what you're building.
And they probably also be the person that can say if the plug needs to be pulled, right? Am I saying that right? Like say for example, if something happens and someone has to make a decision and you're still like legally married, I feel like we're going off topic, but somebody needs to hear this. If you're legally married, like, and that person is considered like next of kin or closest of kin, they get to decide what happens when you're in the hospital. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yes, you do. They have some say in that because 9 times out of 10, they're going to go to your spouse, right? If that's the only person there, they're going to your spouse. And if you don't have spouse, then maybe they're considering your children. But it's actually not off topic because even when you think about estate planning, yes, we're talking about trust, but that also comes into play, your power of attorneys, your living healthcare directive. What do you want to happen in those situations when you can't communicate? You're incapacitated. All those things come into play as well, because you also are able to give people the power of attorney, the authority to make actions on your behalf, take actions on your behalf when it comes to not only your finances, but everything else in those situations. So Terry, no, not off topic. I know it's not necessarily financial aspect, but all of that is important. So when we're talking about estate planning, even beyond the trust, there is so much that you want to cover, so much that you want to be addressing, so that how you want life to be for you. Lord forbid a situation like that happens. Do you want to be, do you want life-saving measures? Do you want resuscitation? Do you want just, medicines that are going to continue to keep you comfortable? Do you want somebody in authority who not just going to take your money and do whatever they want to? Like, these are things to be considered. We're talking about building wealth and making sure it's secure. Well, it comes full circle in the grand scheme of things. It really does. Because sometimes even in different business endeavors and what you're doing, sometimes there are terms and conditions in place about, okay, what happens if a person can't function, if they can't show up? Well, do you need somebody who has the authority to go and vote on your behalf in regards to what decision that this company is going to take? Well, your finances are tied to this. Your wealth is tied to this. And so you may think, oh, it's really not connected, but in the grand scheme of things, it is.
It is. Listen, we can talk about this all day, but this is why y'all got to be at the conference, because again, we're not just talking about how to make more money, how to build more wealth, but we're talking about what happens with the wealth that you build. You don't want to work so hard and then all your money go to the government, all your money go to the state, all your assets go to your ex. Like, no, we don't want that. I mean, unless that's what you want. I mean, you may love your ex, I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, like, you got to be a part of these conversations, because even with the story that I had yesterday on Facebook, my Facebook story, I played this song called All Things, right? We talk about all things wealth building, and this is a part of it. Any last words for us on today before we wrap this up, attorney Kristian McCray Stewart?
Yes, it's just plan. Don't be afraid to have the conversations. Don't be afraid to have the conversations, because when you fail to have the conversations, there's so much that you don't know. There's things that you don't begin to put in place. And the thing is, you have the power. We're out here doing amazing things. Don't leave, just as you wouldn't leave your destiny in the hands of someone else. Don't leave your fortunes. Don't leave what you have built in the hands of someone else, when you have right now in the present time the ability, the capability, and also the responsibility to take things into your hands right now and plan it out, so that you control what happens to all you have built and how you're trying to pass that down to the future generations.
Yes. How can we get in touch with you outside of them coming to the Attract Abundance Conference? By the way, you want to get a VIP ticket so you could be at the VIP reception and be up close and personal with this queen. And then you also want to make sure that you're sitting at the front of the room with all the special guests and special speakers. But outside of that, how can we follow you? How can we support your business? How can somebody book a consultation?
Yes, definitely. So you can find us. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, McCray, Stewart, and Associates. Our tag is msalawfirms.com. Also, if you go to our website, msalawfirms.com, you're going to find us there, all our contact information. If you just need the phone number right now, 469-207-1534, and just reach out to us. You can follow us there. You can message us on there. We are not hard to find. We are not hard to get in contact with, and we're available.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for being here. I needed this on today. I really needed this on today, y'all. I actually love going live, and some days I ain't gonna lie, I don't feel like it. But when I go live, I get that fire, and I'll be like, yeah, it's time to keep on running on and see what the end is gonna be. So I thank you. I thank you. I gotta take this call. Have a blessed day, everybody, and I'll see you very, very soon.
See you soon.
All right, bye-bye.